You're full of surprises. I'm Firefly. Get it? Fire and fly.
Firefly, DC Origins Explored. What follows when a small-time artist with a knack for setting fires and explosions loses his job and turns to crime? It is no mystery that nothing good can come out of it. Introducing Garfield Lynns, or the Firefly, an arsonist with sociopathic tendencies who loves to burn cities to the ground. This villain comes from a background in pyrotechnics and brings along the fireworks and sparks that wreak havoc upon the city. Brought to life by Herron and Sprang, the Firefly was first introduced in Detective Comics issue 184 in June 1952. Firefly's initial debut in the comics introduced him as an illusionist who worked with fireworks as his main means of destruction. However, he further advanced into a sociopathic arsonist with an obsessive need to set things ablaze across Gotham City. Firefly has been a part of the DC animated universe, video games, live action, as well as television series. We don't have to wait too long for his next appearance. The highly anticipated villain will be seen in the upcoming Batgirl film. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you, and let's begin. Firefly Story, the new Batman Adventures. So, what events led to a pyrotechnics worker to turn into a dangerous arsonist? In the series episode titled Torch Song, Garfield Lynns worked alongside pop artist Cassidy and managed the fireworks and lighting at her shows. As they worked together, Garfield developed a crush on her, and the two ended up going out together. Meanwhile, after Cassidy gets to perform at Gotham's Rock City nightclub, she decides to lay him off. A frustrated Lynns causes a scene at the club by overriding the pyrotechnic displays and lighting, and thus begins the journey of the Firefly. While working, Lynns had been working on an insulated suit that comes with a jetpack and helps him to fly. He uses his expertise with fireworks and pyrotechnics to create a gel that burns through anything. He intends to flee Gotham with Cassidy, but Batman eventually intervenes and put an end to the Firefly's plans. In the Legends of the Dark Knight episode, Firefly ends up in jail, where he devises a new plan as he bides his time. After his release, Firefly begins to work as a freelance arsonist and uses his abilities to cause fires that help his clients to commit insurance fraud. These mystery fires begin to catch attention, and three young children follow the Firefly around and end up getting caught in his plans. Yet again, Firefly ends up face to face with the Batman, who saves the children and captures Firefly, locking him up in the Stonegate Penitentiary. Due to overcrowding at Stonegate, the Firefly is shifted to Stryker's Island, where he manages to break free during prison riots. In this Justice League episode titled Only a Dream, he teams up with Volcana, and they break out the prison together and show interest in each other. As they create chaos around Metropolis, they manage to catch the eye of the Justice League. Batman, along with the Green Lantern, discover the duo as they attack the Metropolis Special Crimes Unit, and the Green Lantern traps them in a power ring. Firefly tries to burn his way out, but is unsuccessful and ends up losing consciousness as the oxygen supply runs out. He gets recaptured and is returned back to Stryker's. As the years pass, we discover that the Firefly special suit has been confiscated by the Batman, who displays it in the Batcave. Interestingly, the Firefly's pyromaniac nature led him to be one of the select few villains that were not introduced in the Batman the Animated Series. Over the years, the rules became less rigid, and he was finally introduced in the new Batman Adventures in 1997. Firefly Backstory. Now, let us explore some of Firefly's most famous misadventures in the original comics. The Man of 1,000 Lights. The Human Firefly, DC number 184. The Human Firefly is set during the grand opening of a musical, Aqua Melodies of 1952 at the Gotham City Theater. The event begins with a water show, with stunning lights that turn red and eventually into fire, causing a frenzy. Garfield Lynns is then introduced in the comics as Firefly, who causes this distraction to divert the attention from a robbery. Batman and Robin set out to find Lynns and chase him through the forests. However, the Firefly seems to be 2 steps ahead as he tricks them and manages to lure them into the lighthouse. While the duo looks around the place for the Firefly, Lynns traps them in the cellar prison and reveals himself from the outside. He then unleashes a Cyclops light, a powerful rainbow-colored light that can blind them. Firefly laughs at their misery and even warns them that the battery will last for 3 days and the blinding lights will cause them to lose their sanity. He escapes and meets up with his clan to discuss their next robbery. A rare shipment of gems was coming in at the airport. Meanwhile, Batman and Robin cover their eyes and somehow manage to find an electric plug for the blinding lights. They escape the lighthouse with the help of some Coast Guards and use the Batplane to hurry to Gotham Airport. They manage to divert the plane from the airport, saving the gems, and then spot the robbers. Batman uses Firefly's own creations, the rainbow lights, and blinds the whole gang except Firefly. Of course, they then place him under arrest and thus puts an end to his menace. The Menace of the Firefly, Batman Comics number 126. Exploring Ted Carson's Firefly, this segment begins with a group of criminals led by the Firefly, sneaking their way into a party at the Carson mansion. As the criminals execute their plans of stealing gold nuggets from the mansion, Batman and Robin try to catch them in the act. They chase the robbers outside, but the Firefly flashes dazzling lights into their faces and momentarily blinds them, giving his clan time to escape with the gold. Later, Bruce Wayne discovers that Kathy Kane is going out with Carson, which gives him an additional thing to worry about. Soon after, Batman, Robin, and Batwoman are dispatched to confront the Firefly in the Gotham City glassworks. However, they learn that the Firefly carries a sonic weapon capable of shattering glass, and the trio has no option but to take shelter. Meanwhile, the gang of criminals run away, though one of them is caught by Batman. As they part ways, Batwoman discloses to Batman that she is aware of his true identity. Bruce wonders how she figured it out and tries to visit her to only find Ted Carson present. When Ted leaves and asks Bruce to take Kathy to dinner instead, she avoids him and still leaves him in the dark. Bruce leaves, and Kathy finds a stray piece of paper that reveals the Firefly's plans to loot Gotham's Natural History Museum. She transforms into Batwoman and goes to Ted Carson's house, urging him to transform into Batman and join her to bring down the Firefly. It appears that she saw Carson change suits and assumed him to be Batman. Carson walks away and reappears in his Firefly suit. He then ties up Batwoman and joins his group at the museum, where they are trying to steal silver antiques. However, Batman and Robin successfully discover him and reach the scene of the crime. Meanwhile, Batwoman also manages to free herself, and the trio come together to get a hold of the robbers. Later, Batwoman admits that she mistook Bruce Wayne for the Firefly since she had accidentally handed Carson's coat to Bruce, from which she found out about the robbers' plans. Later, whilst dancing with Bruce, Kathy Kane considers him as a potential Batman, but soon dismisses the idea. Besides these comics, the Crisis of Infinite Earths storyline, which pretty much rebooted the DC universe, showed the Firefly in its most lethal, sociopathic form, and is his best known arc, Detective Comics number 661, as a villain. Also, Firefly is a lead antagonist in the Batgirl comics, and is also one of the main threats in the origin stories of the Batgirl.
Play with Firefly.
What makes the Firefly so dangerous? Lynns' background with pyrotechnics and explosives, paired with his knowledge of flammable objects and his pyromania, make for a very dangerous villain to fight. Not only can he manipulate explosives and lights, but he uses them to his advantage to wreak havoc by committing arson and torching things to the ground all around Gotham. He also suffers from obsessive pyromania, which causes him to have impulses to start fires just for self-gratification or to relieve stress. His disorder causes him to lose control over his abilities, thus leading him to commit arson, even if it is just for his own pleasure. Additionally, Firefly is a mechanical whiz who created his own insulated fireproof Firefly suit that is equipped with flammable devices such as grenades and smoke bombs, as well as a flamethrower that aids him in his misadventures. He also invented a gel that burns through things and aids him. Alongside, Lynns created his own custom jetpack that helps him fly around, along with mechanical wings that make him even harder to catch. Garfield Lynns is also diagnosed to be a sociopath, which provides some explanation for his lack of conscious and intense feelings of rage and frustration. Interestingly, He is one of the select few villains to be admitted to both Blackgate Prison as well as the Arkham Asylum. Versions of Firefly in various forms of media. One can catch a glimpse of the Firefly across various forms of media, such as television, animation, video games, and movies across the DC universe. Let us explore these as we look into its different versions. Andrew Dunbar plays Garfield Lynns in the TV series Arrow, in the episode titled Burned. This Firefly was a part of Starling City's firefighting team, the Fireflies, who was believed to have died in a big building fire. A female version of the Firefly named Bridget Pike was a long-standing character across seasons 2 to 4 in the television series Gotham. In this series, the Firefly works alongside Selena Kyle as the two rob a brothel together. One must note that DC also introduced a different Firefly by the name of Ted Carson in its earlier versions. This Firefly did not share the same features as Garfield Lynns, but it did show up in the Gotham TV series when Bridget reveals Ted Carson to be her mentor. Garfield Lynns' Firefly, voiced by Mark Rolston, appears in the new Batman Adventures episode titled Torch Song, as we have seen a while back. He also appears in the episode Legends of the Dark Knight, and in an episode of Justice League as explored earlier. The same version also appears in the Batman animated series, and is voiced by Jason Marsden, with a few changes in the appearance of the Firefly suit that resembles a hornet and uses lasers instead of flamethrowers. Additionally, the Firefly also appears in the Batman, the Brave and the Bold, and DC Superhero Girls, and is also mentioned in the Harley Quinn animated series. Firefly is set to have a major role in the HBO live-action Batgirl, and will be portrayed by Brendan Fraser. In the 2016 animated movie Batman Bad Blood, the Firefly was voiced by Steve Bloom, and has a minor role as an assassination working for a higher order. The Batman Arkham video game series also stars the Firefly in various instances as he works under the Joker to kill the Batman, and commits arson around Gotham. Firefly even appears on the LEGO Batman video game on Nintendo DS, as well as the LEGO Batman 3 Beyond Gotham and the LEGO DC Supervillains.
Working late?
The night shift? Like you, Batman.
Conclusion. Although not as notoriously well known as other infamous DC supervillains, the Firefly sure does rile up quite a lot of trouble in Gotham. Especially in his current deadly avatar, one hopes to not get caught up in his lethal, blinding lights, or have to put out his fires, quite literally. Of course, he has only just begun, and we wait eagerly to see more of his fiery rage in the upcoming Batgirl. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks everyone.
Ah!